Yes. Hello, everybody. As we welcome you to the Last Great Coliseum here from the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway here for week number 4 of the AWC Pro Series. And obviously, we just said it, the Last Great Coliseum, something a spectacle in its own. Hello, my name is Christian Olgato alongside Matthew Perchatsky and Diego Acuna up here in the HVTV booth as we get ready to go. Some short track racing here in these Xfinity cars. O'Reilly machines, my apologies. Well, I guess we'll go trackside. You see some of your drivers out on track as we speak right now. Joe Farlow in the number 24 machine for Arctic Esports. Both shown some pace throughout the season. This so far, I didn't up and down season. I would say has shown pace, but definitely hasn't gotten the results we expect out of this 24.
Yeah, and Joe Farlow just one of those guys that always has a lot of speed week to week, but not able to, pull it together all the time. And so it'll be really interesting to see how he navigates this track. And we've got obviously Kristen and Andres here in the booth. You guys have both driven here before. Andres, what's the number one thing that these guys are going to have to battle here at Bristol?
Well, Bristol is a very close track. We know this is going to be the first. It's going to be the first short track that these guys are going to come up to, and as we know, you want to be on the front, but you gotta be smart. Bristol is a race smart because there's gonna be a lot of contact. There's gonna be a lot of wreck, a lot of yellows. So not only smart, but also you need to be patient. So it's gonna be bump and run. There's gonna be wrecks. There's gonna be beef. There's gonna be everything. So yeah, this is gonna be a very demanding racetrack and a very demanding race for a lot of these guys.
I definitely agree. Coming here, I mean, it's not an easy track to come to here at Bristol, and it's going to be almost an endurance race, kind of, right? Who can withstand the longest here? Who can keep the car clean the longest? And even though it is kind of a rhythm track, it's just all about who can, keep the car clean the longest. Obviously, no faster pace here for the AWC Pro Series, and it's gonna be interesting to see how this goes all about. First of all, one thing we have to talk about now is let's go ahead and look at our point standings. Got our new and improved graphics package here for the AWC Pro Series. As we look at our base standings here, coming into Bristol after Texas last week. You see Bryson Bird back there. 2 wins leading the points here. 163 points. Remember, it's not winning you're in here in the AWC Pro Series. It's, the chase now that we're going to be seeing here in all series here in the 2026 season, from Cup all the way down to trucks. Enrique Cucalan, Brett Bennett, Wyatt Roberts, and Gilberto Gamera with a surprising shot there in the top 5. Sam Butewell, Jake Scarborough, Matthew Chastain, Ryan Rombaum, Landon Brown, Adam Tyler Water Malone back there right above the cutoff. And you see just 2 points behind the 62 of Zach Probst, and then you see Acosta, Reed, and Ryan Jones. Just not that many points. It looks like what, 7 points out of the cutoff there, a little bit more. But yeah, definitely still a tight battle here coming into Bristol.
Yeah, certainly. And talking about Bryson Bird, right? Not only does he win 2 races to start the season off here, but winning in dominating fashion at 2 completely different racetracks, right? And so when you take the dynamic that he's been able to kind of create and be able to kind of dictate these races from start to finish most of the time on the larger tracks and on the shorter tracks. It'll be really interesting to see how he navigates here at Bristol. Will he continue that momentum? And I think that obviously as we look at the guys in Cup, now with Reddick winning 3 in a row, right? Momentum does so much for a team and so much for an organization, and so will we see similar things out of Bryson Bird today? Will he be able to continue that? Or will we have the likes of, Enrique Cucalon, who's been able to build some pretty consistent runs week in, week out here? Or Brett Bennett, who's also been running pretty consistently, or Wyatt Roberts. So definitely a lot of guys to consider here. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing who can prevail here.
Yeah, and well, this is pretty much like race 3, so there's still a lot of season and on. So Zach Braff, Carlos Acosta, Brendan Reed, Jones, they're not gonna be out yet till the start, but of course it's gonna be like a little of um check up. Like, you gotta be right there, you gotta be consistent, be able to not wreck, be able to finish races, be able to get some top 10s, top 5s. You don't need to win, you need to go ahead and be consistent. That's what the chase is all about. And be there in the top 12, be able to be to get into that championship fight. Even though you see Bryson Bird with 2 wins already, and as well Steven Maggio getting one of the wins away on Daytona. Talladega is the cutoff, so Talladega is gonna be a big monster, just like Daytona in the real life. Talladega is gonna fight you back. So for the guys that are gonna be on the 13, 14, 15 position, they're not gonna be out yet. But also the guys that are gonna be on the 7th, even to 3rd, they are all not safe unless they have a good season.
Yeah, that's right. And Talladega, obviously a huge toss up, a huge coin flip, and not one of those racetracks that you want to have one of those big point margins to kind of try to make up at a track like that where there's so much uncertainty. But let's talk a little bit about the session right now. Who do we got leading the scoreboard right now, Chris?
About to look here at your fastest drivers on speed coming into Bristol, week 4 here from Bristol. We'll go ahead and take a look at our fastest driver. You see Darren drop right there, and sitting in pit road right now, actually, but sitting top of the board right there with that 15.234. Joel Farlow, we just talked about him, but having a good practice right now. Sitting there in P2, you see Fidel Fabian back there, right in this little group right here, back there in P3. Toto making his debut here in season 20. Ran quite a few races last season, and season 19, but making his debut here in season 20 here at Bristol. Definitely an interesting track to make your debut at. Very difficult track to navigate through. You see Brett Bennett back there rounding out your top 5, and you see the rest of the field right now on the left side of your screen there. But your top 5 rounded out by the 06 of Brett Bennett.
As we see over there, Darren Staff on the 45. Fastest lap so far in the practice. He's not going out and check on, like, he did the lap and he went back in. I think he is pretty much confident that he's gonna have a good race. Although never is very confident, because you can be fast, but you need to go here and have some of the practice, check how much you're gonna be able to do some of these green flags, because you never know. Sometimes these Bristol races, like you see over there, Bennett pretty much loses it, and it's gonna be just a caution fest. Or sometimes it's gonna be people that are like not very too much amount of people that you're gonna be able to go ahead and, like, have a good green flag race. And well, with this type of practice, you kind of want to have those tires to be safe for those type of green flag runs.
Yeah, the tire wear is definitely going to be a factor here. That's going to be something to keep an eye out for, is fall off and where leaders are relative to other people who pit before them. And we obviously saw that last week at Legacy, Texas, with green flag stops and some green flag runs. I'm not so sure we're going to get those long green flag runs here, but we'll have to wait and see.
I definitely agree. We'll have to see how the runs come about and everything else. But you see the 06 out on track, Brett Bennett. He gets ready to start his 2 laps. Remember, 2 laps for these drivers. And we'll have to see what they can do here. But we'll go ahead and go side-by-side action. We'll go on board as you see the 06. Won't go on board. Some technical difficulties on that side. But see the 06 starting his first laps. start his second lap here. We'll see what he can do here. His first lap of qualifying. Currently, Brett Bennett P7, not probably the lap he wanted, but right now, Bryson Bird, top of the board, continues to, put together these good runs, these good qualifying efforts out of that 53. Now see the 42, Wyatt Roberts, this new bright blue machine. We're used to seeing, that iconic, red and white, target car that he runs here, but decides to change it up these last two races. But you see Wyatt Roberts go to the top of the boards here.
Yeah, and how about that from Wyatt Roberts? And obviously the new paint scheme on the 42 machine for this week. Wyatt Roberts, one of those guys that's been able to put together some pretty good runs, some pretty, favorable runs. You got to tip your hat to him. Really looking forward to seeing if he can pull it together this weekend. Able to get some good finishes, but he'll definitely be wanting to look for that podium spot as he was able to do last weekend at Legacy, Texas with the third place finish. So maybe he can get one or two spots better today.
And now we're on board with the 68 of Walter Malone. Definitely not the season I think he wanted to start off with, but obviously, no. Oh, as we see him spin here out of turn 4, coming down here to the restart zone. See if he wants to. Oh, man, and he did the wrong thing there. He should have parked it because now that's his second lap that counts. That's no qualifying effort for the 68, but that had to turn out.
And the 68 only won top 10 this season so far at Daytona, so definitely not setting himself up for the best start here at the Last Great Coliseum, but sometimes it's just how it goes, and we're along with the 51 machine here, riding along with Fidel Fabian as he takes his qualifying lap.
Fidel, I don't think he's ran all the races, but was really strong last season. Kind of got into some controversy last season and in season 19, but always showed pace. So we'll see right now, P5, P2 for Fidel. So really good lap out of this 51 team. See him park that machine. We'll continue to look at some drivers here. Michael Kruger, number one last year at Myrtle Beach with the Tire Strategy Coliseum in this Mustang, the Subway Ford Dark Horse Mustang, and going to come around to start his second lap.
Yeah, so cool to see those Subway colors here at Bristol. Obviously reminiscent of Kevin Harvick in the 4 machine when he used to race for Stuart Haas in the Gen 6 era, next gen era as well. But he'll have to settle here for almost outside of the top 20 on lap time there. He'll have to build up a little bit more on his race pace once we go green flag racing here, but looks like we have our grid set.
Yeah, no one's going to be able to go out there and set a lap. Christopher Logan, Brendan Reed, Tyler Walter Malone either decided not to set a lap or like the 68 just got the wall or actually spun out of 4, crossed the start finish line to start his second lap, which really didn't help anything for him. Michael Kruger had a good lap going, barely got the wall out of turn 4. That's why he'll be back there in P19. I know he definitely could run a little bit quicker, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. You have a great lap and you just barely get the wall out of the corner there, and obviously if you get the wall, iRacing won't allow you to take that time. So tough break for the 41, but we know he's got pace. We know he can get up there and get up to the front, but gonna have to do it the hard way. See, now we saw practice in the day, we qualified in the evening, and now look at this. The lights off here at the Last Great Coliseum. We're going to be going night racing here from Bristol.
Waiting for these drivers to grid here. Yeah, obviously, night racing at Bristol, just one of those iconic races. Not considered a crown jewel event, but in terms of the fan experience, certainly a top 3 race to see in person and on TV. Just all the different paint schemes, seeing how the lights bounce off the cars. A lot of beating and banging, flames out the pipes. The aesthetics alone, make you fall in love with a race like this. But we're gonna get moving here, and we're gonna look at your starting grid for the AWC Pro Series here at Bristol.
We'll
Yeah, let's go ahead and get him.
looking at your starting grid, we'll go through the top 10 here real quick. Roberts, Fabian, Bird, Chastain. We'll have to do this a little bit quickly as they're getting ready to go green here. Carlo, Staff, Stoto, Trainer, Enrique Cucalan, and Gilberto Gamera, that first top 10.
Yeah, we got Ryan Ronnebaum, Brett Bennett, Tim Goulet Jr., Acosta, Tal, Costo, Davis, Boutwell, Kruger, Watermelon, and that's going to round out your top 20. Last 2 drivers on the grid are going to be Christopher Logan and Brendan Reed.
We go trackside here. We'll go ahead and take a look at your race weather for tonight's race here. From Bristol Motor Speedway, you see 65-degree air temp along with the 66-degree track temp, and that's something we're going to have to talk about later on if the track heats up or not, because that's pretty cool for a track temp that these drivers are going to be comfortable with. But 95% humidity, I haven't seen that it be that high in quite a bit here, so that's going to be something interesting to look at. You see there, and really no wind tonight, and just a little bit partly cloudy here from Bristol. A little bit of a race rundown.
We're ready to go.
150 laps. No fast repairs, but you'll see the pace car take a hard left turn on the pit road. The 42, the 51, Ford Toyota front rows. We're green here from Bristol. Out of turn 4, going into 1 for the first time. Gonna be that 42. Wyatt Roberts takes the lead here. He's gonna lead your first couple laps.
Fidel Fabian right away goes ahead and takes the second place. But Bryson Burris is gonna try to take that second place already on the attack. But Chastain on 4th. He's right there, the 4 car back, pretty much 5, with our fastest guy on the practice staff on the 45 as Bryson Bird is trying to pick his car.
Oh yeah, Wyatt Roberts in the 42, you know, a guy that's not really used to being up front in a lot of these races, let alone leading the pack here at Bristol. I mean, you got to give him a round of applause for putting himself in position here, and you know, for the most part, for these first 5 laps, keeping decent pace. But as Andres was mentioning, Bryson Bird, you know, definitely going to be on the attack. He likes to be in front here for these AWC races, but I'm not so sure that he has that strong car, at least right now, to make his way up to the front.
Well, remember, we've seen that Bryson's really had the long run pace. He said, you know, I've talked to him a little bit outside of the broadcast here, and he said he's really worked on his long run pace. He's really just tried to figure out how to keep this car underneath him. Because remember last season, you know, I raced with him on Tuesdays as well. He's really quick. I mean, he can really get up and go, but he tends to burn off his tires. He tends to, you know, use his equipment a little bit too early, and then he'll have to try to play defense. We saw him playing defense a lot last year, getting them, and it really put him in some bad spots to get caught up in wrecks and stuff like that. But so now you start to see him play defense here, and it's not because his car's backing up. You see now is off the back bumper, the 12. They're going to go around.
First caution of the night here, involving Bryson Bird and the 51 machine of Fidel Fabian. That's going to be your, well, previously 2nd and 3rd place running cars, but man, that's how quickly it can happen here at Bristol.
We'll go back and look at it. Looks
and
like
yeah,
off the back bumper of the 12. We'll have to see happen here. Stephen Grace can walk us through.
That's pretty much the lack of patience. We're pretty much in lap 10 already. This is 150 laps, guys. So, yeah, Bryson is trying to get into the position to pass Fidel. We have Matthew Chastain right behind them. So, all of them, they're fighting for the second place. Chastain poked his car below Bryson, and Bryson, yeah, like a little train effect right there. I think Fidel tried not to hit the wall, or he was getting tied or loose. Bryson Bird pretty much right there. He had nowhere to go. He had to slow down, as well as Chastain pretty much nearby. It was like a accordion effect. happening. Of course, Bryson and Fabian got the worst of it.
Yeah, and as we're running
Very
under
unfortunate.
caution here, just want to point out Brett Bennett was up a few spots from his starting position. He's now in sixth place, up 6 spots on starting position. And who's that in front of him? Trainer in the 3 car. He had a good running at Daytona earlier in the season, sat out for a race or two. He's back here at Bristol also with a good running here to start the race off. So definitely a few good stories so far. Obviously 2 cars for them to just pass quite easily there with the caution, but I mean, wow, up 6, that's got to be pretty motivating, Christian.
Especially for Brett, you know, he wants to come up here. He wants to show up and do the best he can. Obviously, he said he is not really sure what he can do here with, you know, the NASCAR season kicking off. Obviously, working with the, you know, his ARCA duties, right? Spotting for his ARCA team that he works in. So Brett always wants to come out here and do well. And obviously, John, you know, it's not unfamiliar to see that 3 up towards the front. Obviously, it's been a little while, but like at Bristol. But you know, we've seen this 3 up here before in real life. Glad to see him up here. But looking back at that wreck, I mean, we were talking about it. Just looks like a kind of a racing deal. Just looked like Fidel was just trying to back up his corner, trying to save a little bit of tire. And Fidel is one of the best long run pace drivers we have in the field. Fortunately, Bryson just didn't expect it. Kind of had to jam on the brakes, and then the 12 of Chastain there, I don't think could really just didn't have the reaction time to adjust to that either. It gets into the back of the 53, and around those both go. But I'll bump that 12 up to the race lead, so it'll be a forward front row. The 42 and the 12. Here comes Wyatt Roberts once again to take the lead.
Very good jump by Roberts. As Chastain is getting a little attack from number 45, Darian Staff. Staff on the bottom. Okay, gotta stick it. They're still, even though there's still 10 laps older tires, they're still gonna be loose coming out of the corner, especially with the car at the top. So they're doing a very good job right here with Chastain defending on the top side. The top side is still able to get a run. Chastain, oh no, he's loose.
Chastain saves it though. What a save by the 12. No caution.
We stay green.
Yeah, we'll stay green here. A little bit of damage on the 12. His caution will way further on back. Looks like wrecking in the back. Tim Galley involved.
Oh man.
Like maybe Acosta involved as well. You see a car backwards.
Oh,
right
Trainer.
That's Trainer.
Trainer was involved. Oh, that's damage. That's big damage.
That's big damage for the 3. We'll go ahead and try to see if we can find what happened here. We're looking at the 12, and obviously we got cars backwards here. We'll see what happened. Well, I guess we'll look at the 3. I think he was the furthest car up.
Yeah, I think so. You obviously saw him take the toe there and some pretty significant damage to the front end of the car, but...
Oh, it was the 23.
Oh, it was the 23.
Camara.
Oh, man.
Loose, and then what happens to the 3? 3 comes up into the 7.
Man.
Oh,
huge hit.
So that was one wreck. We'll go back and see what happened to Tim Galley here. This looks like two separate. This looks like 2 separate incidences. We'll try to find Tim Galley here if we can find him here. And
yeah, there was the issue on corner exit and then corner entry. Tim Galley, one of those guys, put it. Oh yeah. Oh, he got into Bryson Bird.
So we'll see. So obviously you saw a checkup there from the 23 getting up there. He gets into the 23 and then down in the Bird. Oh man.
He's
core damage for Bird. That's unfortunate. Very unfortunate for all those guys.
Yeah, just
yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
And that's just Bristol, right? There's nowhere to go half the time when you get these cautions. You see, honestly, I thought there was gonna be more damage for this 53, but definitely just a tough break for everybody involved there. But all that said and done, we'll hand over now the race lead to the 45. Somehow got around this 42 as we were looking at that at the wrecking in the back. The 45 gets around the 42 of Wyatt Roberts. So good by Darren to, take advantage there. And you saw that the intensity was trying to pick up there. You saw the 12 of Chastain. He'll, after getting, all caught up, he only goes back to 5th. But you saw that 45 and that 12 were racing pretty hard. It looked like, to me, Wyatt was just trying to, maintain a pace there. And as soon as you saw that 12 go up to the top, you saw that 45 pick up the pace. and it allowed him to go up there and retake the lead here.
As the lights are off on the base car, we're gonna go back to green. Steph, Roberts, Farlow, Kukalon, they just came by on the top 4. Top 5 is gonna go to Chastain. Let's see if these guys are able to go ahead and like survive this one.
We'll just have to see, but we'll see a Toyota Ford front row, and you'll see a Ford lockout on that second row as Kukulon has made his way inside the fast 4. But once again, we're going to hand the reins back over to the 45 as Straff will take us back to the green. Good jump by the 45, but here comes Wyatt Roberts on that top side. I wonder how long he's going to want to run that before he gets down. I think he just wanted to get back in P2. You'll probably see him get down, blinking out of the back there. That's the 24. Kukulon back there in P4.
Joe Farlow a little bit of a blink. He's gonna be fine right now. Kukalon right there in P4. Here comes Chastain once again on the top. I think he wants to use that top. He wants to make the top to work. Even though if he gets a little bit higher, he's gonna get in those debris right there, those marmos. Yeah, he's almost loose right there, but he was able to go ahead and like keep it on. Number 7, Ryan Runabaum, right behind them.
Going to be interesting to see what the 12 can do here. And we've seen the top work, and we know the top can work, but it's just really, you got to really know what the car wants to do. As you see, yeah, big loose out of the 7 back there. But this 12, you have to be careful with this car. This car is not the next gen, it's not the truck. You have to be a lot more gentle when it comes to running that top. We saw him already try to do it before, get up in the outside wall. And now, you know, kind of finally kind of settles into the 4th.
We see more battle behind Kukalon.
And battles back here, Costa. That's Gamera, my apologies. Making the pass on the 5, Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis having a quiet night. And remember, he had a good run forming there last week. And unfortunately just got caught up in a couple incidents and kind of derailed that race, but was running up inside the top 10. But needs a little bit more pace out of this 5 to get himself back inside the top 10 here for Bristol.
Yeah, and Staff leading the pack here in first place. Building himself a little bit of a gap. Able to separate himself from that 42 car who obviously started on pole. Led the first several laps before our first caution. The 42 not really able to make up that time running in second. Not quite sure if that's a product of dirty air or just, you know, a matter of him riding in line, riding it out here. Trying to see where he's strong, maybe where he's not so strong with the car right now. As you see the lap traffic of Tim Goulet Jr. as they navigate around him on the bottom of the track. But yeah, I mean, that 42 machine, oh, you saw him tap the wall there actually. 42 car, Jason.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see a lot of these drivers start to migrate as caution is out, but you're going to start to, oh, wow, a huge one back here.
Whoa.
Acosta looks like involved.
Oh,
the
very
24
huge
Farlow.
one, very huge one.
Farlow hooked out after the caution came out. We have 2 cautions to look at here. We'll go ahead and try to see what happened here with this 02 before. We'll go back and see what happened with the 24 and that 12 machine. Chastain, see what happened.
Chastain got into someone there after the caution came out. Like, there's your contact.
I mean, very, very interesting. I mean, I'm not going to say it was intentional, but it definitely looks pretty malicious. And then we see back here further on back, Farlow hooked by the 12 after the caution comes out. I don't know if maybe it was a checkup as well. Let's right on board with the 12. See if we can find him up on track here. See, maybe he just had nowhere to go here. Remember, these corners are pretty blind when it comes to a caution. Yeah, look at that. I just don't think he knew what was. Yeah, he got hit in the back by someone else.
Wow.
So someone got in the back of the 12. We'll see who that was. That was Tim Goulet.
Oh, was that Goulet? Oh, my goodness. Oh, that was some almost major contact with the subway machine, the 41 of Michael Kruger. He barely clipped him with the right front. But, man, that was a ton of isolated incidents, but they all kind of stemmed from that contact, obviously, with the 02 car. Definitely uncalled for this early on in the running from Carlos Acosta, but I mean, it's really, really close quarters.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely looks pretty interesting because I mean, he squared him up and teed him up, right? I mean, he teed him up. I don't know if there was maybe something happened that we couldn't see off camera there because obviously the 47 had a lot of damage. I mean, he went. I mean, he squared him up and sent him off there. But Tim Goulet, I'll say this. I was talking to him before the broadcast too, not feeling the best. So obviously, when you're sick, your reflexes aren't probably going to be the best, and you're not really probably as locked in as you want to say. So obviously, you saw him get in the back of the 12, but you see him down pit side, probably trying to get some more damage fixed. But I think we've all been in that place where we've either had to go to work or even come in here and race here a little under the weather, and it's just miserable, right? Just trying to drag through this race.
Yeah, definitely. And we see that '06 car running in fourth position there. Brett Bennett. He's going to have a good shot here. Or third position, my mistake. He's going to have a good shot here to run with the leaders and up a lot of spots from starting position. He's been consistently just chipping away at these guys. I think he's got the dominant car.
Yeah, I mean, up 9 positions from where he started. We have a couple of guys who have kind of finagled their way in the top 4. Like you see the 68 of Water Malone back there, 16 spots above. But you see the pace car off. We'll give it back to the 45. But yeah, a really good run for a lot of these drivers here as they continue to kind of navigate through these wrecks. We talked about it earlier in the show. It's not going to be all about pace. It's going to be about managing the car and keeping the car underneath you and then keeping your car clean. Look at this 68 up here inside the top 4 after qualifying outside. He didn't even get a set of lap time because he spun during qualifying. Now look at him sitting inside the top 5.
Watermelon actually doing a very good job of getting into the top 5 now. It's gonna be right there with Bennett. Of course, he's not getting up there, gaining any position, but hopefully he's able to go ahead, like save some of his tires. Some little damage on the left rear quarter panel, but that's gonna be fine. Like I said, Bristol is a short track, and you don't need so many aerodynamics.
Yeah, and how about Christopher Logan running in 5th? Had a debut race, I believe it was, last weekend at Legacy, Texas. Finished first car lap down, but he's sporting that Black Rifle coffee machine here at the Bristol Motor Speedway, and he's found his way up into the top 5, so good on him.
Yeah, really good run by him. Remember, like you said, Matthew, he didn't have the best run there from Legacy, Texas. Granted, Legacy, Texas, one of the hardest tracks outside some of these road courses that these drivers will probably go to. So, good bounce back race at least right now for this 17. Keeping that car clean. I mean, it looks like not a scratch on this 17 Camaro. Up inside the top 5, but we're going to go back up here to Brett Bennett. I mean, working his way up to the field here. He's got the leaders in sight here. Let's go on board with him and see what he's doing inside the car.
Yeah, you can see a lot of off-throttle time there. Getting into the corner. A little bit of a brake tap. Get the car slowed down, get the car rotated. And Bennett choosing the bottom groove, fading up just a little bit to arc that corner. Finish it off close to the wall and corner exit. As you can see, just trailing the leaders, keeping them in sight there, not letting them run away. And yeah, you heard a little lift there off the corner. Definitely some consideration of tire saving as well. So, you can see him just easing his way into the corner, not pushing the issue, and just staying in touch with these guys in front of him, who are actually getting pretty close to him.
Yeah, and something I'm noticing right off the bat there, you see him dabbing a brake, and this is something a lot of the drivers do just to get the car kind of planted so you can rotate a little bit better. And I really love the inputs I'm seeing out of this 6 machine. We'll actually go cockpit here, see some wheel inputs here. And look at this. I mean, you see not a little bit of seesawing, and I don't think that's a big issue. Like, I seesaw on the wheel quite a bit, and I don't really see an issue with the tire saving. But you'll see him get in the corner here. He'll dab the brake just a little bit. You might dab it a little bit. You see right through center. You get that car down on the bottom, and just trying to keep these guys right there, right in their eyesight there. And like you said, Matthew, it looks like the 42 was catching up to the 45. Got a little bit upset there these last 2 corners, but now look at Barrett Bennett. He's actually starting to run both these two down. here in these couple laps we've started to run on board with him.
Lap traffic is getting into the way. That's Team Goulet.
And Goulet, once again, you know, trying to manage his race here. Obviously, a lot of damage on the 39 after getting caught up in that first wreck, right? And unfortunately, I mean, you just see how much damage it is, and you have to feel bad for these drivers who are just trying to limp it around. There's nothing that they can do. There's nothing really. You can't really get out of the way here at Bristol either. So you see this memorial scheme here for Chase Stone. You know, grieving for him and his whole family here, and really special scheme that Tim's running tonight.
Yeah, good to see the representation there. Racing community really lost, you know, someone that many hold close and many remember and will keep in our hearts for years to come. But obviously for this paint scheme, good to see the representation here in the AWC Pro Series. And obviously, as we look throughout the rest of the field here, we've got 2 cars within 6/10 of the leader, but then we've got a huge gap to 4th place onward, over 3 seconds. I mean, the top 3 are in a world of their own, I think.
Yeah, Farlow has not been able to find the pace here, but remember, and we've seen it time and time again here, these long runs will favor this 24, my apologies. And you're starting to see him, he's actually running a little bit quicker. It's actually a battle for the 2nd place spot here. Brett Bennett gets around the 45. Wyatt Roberts takes the race lead as we're looking at the at that 24 machine. So Wyatt Roberts back on point. Here comes Brett Bennett trying to track down that 42 once again.
Wyatt Roberts able to get in the bottom of Terrence Staff and got him pretty much clean. He was able to get a good run, a corner exit, as Terrence Staff almost got tied on the outside. That's why he was able to lose not only the lead, but also was Brett Bennett was able to go ahead and get the 2nd place. So yeah, very good job by Wyatt Roberts. As Brett Bennett is right there, so he's not able to get away from him.
Now you see that 06 reeling in this 24, and you start to see, you know, this tire saving that we were talking about, right? The 42, the 45 starting to back up, right? Starting to lose even touch with these front 2. Now you see Brett as he's trying to get there, not quite. It looks like he's going to try that inside line now. You'll see now side by side for the race lead. The 42 going to try to run that defensive line on the top, get the run off the corners, but right now that 06 is just rotating so well. See the 42 just wave them by. You can have it right now. You're a little bit quicker than I am. Don't want to fight you right now.
Yeah, and that's smart by the 42, you know. Let him pass you. Don't, you know, burn up your stuff trying to keep the lead there or keep pace with him. Staying side by side, slowing each other down, right? Obviously, you got to take consideration of where we're at in the race so far, just over a third of the way through. And you got to just think long term here. And so I think that 42 machine is going to be playing that long game and hoping that he's able to find something later on in the run here.
Lap traffic in the foreground again. I believe that's the 39 of Galea again. And something I want to go back to and look at is this 24. Remember the last time we talked about him and had him on the screen, he was 2.5 seconds. Now look at this, all the way down to 1.5 seconds. He's really in between that 1.5 to 1.7 gap here. And it's just going to get closer because you saw, you know, these leaders have a little bit of trouble with Galea. You see now his teammate start to approach the tail end of his 39. His team owner actually in Tim. Let's see the 24 get around him here out of turn 4. So with a good run by Farlow, we'll go through the field here a little bit. Really no battles on in doing right now. Everybody else has kind of found their way and trying to find the spot here. Looks like really the closest 2 cars on track right now. The 17 started to fall back. I don't know what happened here, but remember we talked about him being inside the top 5, now sitting back here in P10.
Logan is doing a great job getting into that P10. Fidel Fabian is right there as well on P11, as well as Bird. Those guys were very good on the start of the race, and well, they're still there for getting those top 10 finishes.
Yeah, good job on Bennett keeping the lead here, pulling away just a little bit, and you can see that black and blue car, fourth place of Farlow, working his way up on staff. Maybe going to make a move for P3 here. And Christian, you know, kind of spoke it into existence here. That long run with the 24 just able to pay off. You saw the 45. A little loose on corner exit there. Maybe putting some rubber down. He's going to almost, no, not quite be clear. The 24. Going to drive it down in the corner here.
Oh, look.
And he will clear.
And you'll see the 24 get around 45. You'll see your race leader down here on the bottom. Slowly waking his way around. And, I mean, you see now almost a 8, 7, 10 second gap here. You see now the 24 going to try to run down that 42 machine now.
Yeah, he's moving.
Joel trying to make a move. Going to try to inside here on the 42 down here in 1 and 2. We're almost approaching that halfway point. A couple laps away from this halfway point. And I'm not sure what fuel is going to look like here. I don't think they definitely can go 150 laps, but you might start to see some drivers who might consider coming down here halfway. If they can go all the way, then obviously I don't think you're going to see anybody pit under
Goulet
green.
in the wall.
Water Malone actually. Goulet in the wall. I thought I saw. I think that was maybe a blink out of the 68 there. But Farlow gets around the 24. He's running the fastest laps right now. 16.1 to a 16.2 for Bennett. So the Bennett's going to start to see this 24 start to get closer and closer in the rearview mirror. Look at that 24. And you see him. He's running a little bit of a different line there, going up, trying to get a good arc down, and then gets a better run off the corner.
Yeah, and Farlow, one of those guys that didn't have a really good run last week. That is at Legacy, Texas, if he even was in that race. But top 10 at Homestead, Miami, finishing 10th place there. So good for him, obviously. And quick shout out to our 11 viewers on YouTube. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who do you got for this race? Who's your pick? And if there's anything that you guys are just curious about from us in the broadcast booth, we'll try to get to your questions. But big shout out to you guys on the broadcast.
Yeah, definitely a big, props to you guys for coming out and watching the broadcast. Obviously, a little bit of a doozy here at the start. We got a couple of cautions, but now everybody's kind of found their pace. So everybody's just sitting still, trying to figure out what they want to do as we start to get a battle for this race lead.
Yeah, that lap traffic going to be a huge factor. Andres, when you're in the car, is that kind of something that you see as an advantage as the trailing car?
Mostly yes. The more and more the leader is gonna go ahead, like be fighting with these lap cars. If you're the second place car and you're pretty much with clean air, as Fidel Fabian is on the wall and he was able to keep it up, so we're gonna stay green. But yeah, that's gonna be the problem. Sometimes these lap cars are gonna be so unpredictable, so you don't know if they're gonna let you pass. You don't know if they want to stay on the lead lap. You don't know if they're gonna be wrecking right in front of you. So yeah, like that unpredictability, as I don't know how that sounds, but how those lap cars are gonna be unpredictable for our leader, Brett Bennett. Of course, it's gonna be slowing down all his pace, as Joe Farlow is gonna have much better race, as well as saving those tires and know where the leader is doing. It's gonna be the greatest math result for catching the leader. But one thing is catching him, the other thing is passing him. So let's see.
That's the thing, though. You've seen Joel get to him. Can't really get around the 06. 06 doing a great job running the top side, trying to be a little bit defensive. And you see, as soon as he feels like he's in a good place, he'll go back to the bottom. Let the 24 get a run. Go back to the top, right? You'll see now the 6 kind of run this middle line. And he's forcing this 24 to burn the stuff up to get around them. And I don't really mind this, right? Because he's going to have a big task at hand getting around these lap cars. If he can force that 24 to burn the stuff up behind them by just making him run the top, run the middle, whatever he needs to, he can start to, navigate this lap traffic just a little bit better than that 24 probably can.
Yeah, definitely. And you see Bennett trying to slice his way through traffic. He gets a bit wide there on exit. Farlow in the 24. As you see, the 17.
Caution waves. Oh, right in front of the leaders. That's Bryson Bird. That's the 5 who's going to get spun out. Looks like the Fidel also involved in there. So, I mean, what a turnaround for Bryson Bird, but not in the way we expected, right? Was up there leading, battling for the lead now. The second caution he's been involved in, and even more damage out of that 53. I think some smoke out of the tailpipes here as well. So this might be game over for that 53 machine.
Yeah, definitely not what we're used to out of Bryson Bird here, but we'll take a look at what happened to bring out the caution as it happened in front of the leaders that were battling it out. You see Goulet Jr. behind Bird. Both of these cars laps down, obviously. You say,
oh, man, and that was the 51.
It was the 51.
The 51 was stopped in the middle of the track. So now we're going to have to go back and look at the 51 if we can find them. Fidel. What happened to the 51 here? So
remember he was on the wall earlier.
He was in the wall. I think maybe the handling just starting to go away. We'll see him down here in 1 and 2.
Very slow.
You see him lose it on his own.
Oof.
And just sitting in the middle of the track. Tries to get...
Bryson.
And it just looks like he I don't really know if there's nothing Bryson can do. This is the blind part of the corner where you don't really see anything coming in. And you also see the 51. Looks like just trying to get off the racetrack. You see him getting the gas there to come down the track, get out of the way. Fortunately, Bryson was down there already trying to get away from the 51. They're going to make contact. And luckily, none of your leaders, for the most part, got involved in this. You see the 5 of Jacob Davis. He gets turned, but really no damage to the 5. Just obviously, I assume everybody's going to come down pit road here to top off on fuel and everything else like that, or maybe just take tires. But actually, you see the 5 stopped here down this backstretch. Maybe he had to let some drivers by.
Yeah, that incident could have been a lot worse had the 51 machine spun back up the track into the leaders. I mean, that would have been really bad. So good heads up driving by all the guys to, for the most part, get around him unscathed. But for Bryson Bird, obviously got a feel for him. But now we have a restart. And so all that long run gone away now. And we saw Brett Bennett, who was your leader, take tires, I believe. So he's going to be on fresh tires, 4 fresh Goodyears. And it'll be interesting to see him charge throughout the rest of the pack. And we see Enrique Cucolone in the 22 car running 3rd. He's had a lot of good outings the past few weekends. And so will he be able to pull it off at Bristol as we are getting ready to take the green flag again?
It'll be 24 to 42. You've seen these 2 cars be pretty dominant. It's a 24. Good launch off the corner going here in the 1 and 2. Something I want to talk about, though, I think everybody took tires. 06, though, had a long pit stop. He was just sitting in the pits for almost 30 seconds. And obviously a generic kind of pit stop is around 14, 50 seconds. Caution back out.
Oh, boy.
I'm unsure what this one was for.
Weathermolen?
Maybe one. Said he received a meatball right here. It's just this lap here. We'll see what happens. See what happened to this.
Oh, yeah, and he has right front damage. He hit something.
Yeah. Back into the restart. He starts P6 there, 3rd on the top. Already got a little bit of right front damage already. Up here on the top, just loses it on his own. Gets up, down. Oh, the 17. And you'll see the 02 getting to the back of him. He'll spin it out. It's a bad place for everybody to be when you see a car just kind of going, half speed in the middle of the track. It's just really hard to decide what you need to do there. Once you see the 02 get an upset, gets spun down the track, gets to the 68. The 68 will go around and see, even more right front damage to that 68 machine.
Yeah, really unfortunate. I mean, on the restart, probably cold tires, not a lot of grip. And so we're going to have another restart here. And like you mentioned, Christian, yeah, actually, apologies. I was pit stops for a lot of these guys here, and Bennett with the slower stop. So not the advantage that we thought that he was going to have. And so Bennett going to have to be able to figure something out and make up that track position. But obviously this caution helped him out. And as we take a look at the YouTube chat, got a few guys giving their thoughts. Thanks for the comments. We got David McGuire 4416, 24 car is his pick for the race. We've got Jacob Davis is the pick for Chemical Leaf 23. Nori 410, fan of the 45 car. And we've got a Wyatt Roberts fan, T-Tops 83, apparently eating some roller dogs at the Love's Truck Stop. Awesome stuff, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Keep the comments coming.
Yeah, Love's is a close place here for the HVTV studio. So, we used to have someone who worked at Love's and definitely lived off those griller hot dogs and the whole food bar there at the Love section. So, love to see that, but love to also see the interaction in the chat. See who you guys are cheering on. And looks like you guys got, some of the guys running up front here. Obviously, the 5 a little bit further back there, back in P12, but the 24, the 42, and that 45 all up here inside the top 4. And something I want to bring back up is Brett Bennett had that bad stop, remember? Started, I think, back in 9th or 10th. Up inside the top 7. Remember, this isn't the first time he had to drive his way through the field to go back and take that race lead. So, luckily for this 06, he's already done it before. Just has to do it again and hopefully not burn the stuff up as much. Remember, because we saw that 24 drive through the field after saving his equipment late in this latter half of the race.
Yeah, and you mentioned it earlier, Christian, obviously. Just going to revisit that. The guys that are laying back and not really pushing the issue to get to the lead or stay in touch with the leaders, those are the ones that are going to prevail in the long run. And so long as these guys keep it clean and green, I'm thinking that whoever makes the next move to kind of save their stuff and, be cautious, but, not reserved in their driving style, still being smart and still being able to develop their rhythm and pace. I think those are going to be the ones that are going to be in contention for the win here. But as of now, we still have Joel Farlow leading the pack.
Joel Farlow and those 3 Fords rounding out your podium. So Ford's looking pretty dominant right now. And even if you look back, like Brett Bennett, I mean, he was probably the most dominant car. Another Ford, the only really non-Ford we've seen up here is that 45 of staff here. No Chevy in sight for at least battling for this win. And even, the only Toyota is that number 45 up here. I mean, he's in definitely a Ford sandwich here, that number 45 up here towards the front. We see lights off on the pace car once again. Joel Farlow, Wyatt Roberts, Kukulon, and staff. Your fast forwards. We get ready to go back inside the restart zone as we're green once again to start lap 99.
Another good jump for Farlow. Roberts is right away in the 2nd place. Kukulon right there in the 3rd place. As we got another caution.
Toto.
As we know, Christian, caution precautions.
Toto turn around here. His first start here in season 20. We'll take a look and see what happened.
Yeah, he's got left front damage there.
A lot of damage here for that 95. We'll see what happened. We'll go back and look at our chopper cam. Good aerial footage here for the HVTV crew. 95. We saw this earlier with the 68. Just gets loose on his own up the track. See the 34 involved in man, the 5. One of our and we got a fan base here in the 5, so unfortunate for Davis here. Not too much damage. It's definitely not the end of the world, but you definitely see a little bit of right front damage on that 5. Actually, furniture machine, but still not the end of the world.
Yeah, definitely. And, with Bristol and how this race has gone so far, you can only expect that these cautions are going to continue to come out, which, for these long run guys is, not very optimal. As we take a look at our laps remaining, we have less than a third of the race left, so we are over 2/3 of the way done, 100 laps complete out of 150. And I mean, coming from you two who have been in the sim, Christian and Andreas, how fast does 50 laps go at Bristol under green flag conditions, because at a certain point you got to realize you got to put your car in position, and you got to be towards the front to be in contention here, because those laps will wind down quickly, won't they?
And you definitely have to be up front to be in the race, right? Especially here at Bristol, where we've seen it's kind of hard to pass here at the starts. But yeah, laps come down a lot quicker than you think here. We're running about 15-second laps here. And so we're taking off 4 laps a minute, right? That's, you think about that. What's 50 divided by 4? That's, I can't do the math right now, but we're only probably, it looks like it's telling us about 13 minutes away from the checkered flag. And you see 50 laps on the board, you're like, there's no way, but you kick off laps so quickly here. And on top of that, with the way iRacing handles these short tracks, when we get cautions, we're running about 4 to 5 laps under just pacing around, right? So if we continue to get these cautions, it's just going to allow these guys who have the track position to ultimately race for the win. Some of these guys in the back aren't really going to get a chance if we continue to get wrecks here.
But also, we need to go ahead and be careful, because we can have a more cautions, but also we can have a green flag race. But after maybe 15 laps, it's gonna be another caution, and that's where gonna be a little bit of a strategy with the tires. So as pace car goes off, let's see how this goes.
Carlo with another good jump. That's going to allow the second place on that bottom side. Kukulan gets side by side with the 42. A little loose out of the 22. Side by side in the turn 3. That bomb's going to prevail here. That 42 actually going to maybe drop back to P4 as they're side by side for the P3 position. The 45, Staff going to try to take the P3 spot away. And look at that. Second all the way back to 4th in just a couple laps.
Yeah, that 42 machine, Wyatt Roberts, just nowhere to go on the outside. He's used to being able to, as we see loose out of Brett Bennett in the 06 car, but that 42 machine, talking about him again, he's used to jumping up to the top side, being able to carry that momentum, but he got stuck with Kukulon on his inside, and he was not able to clear. And so the 22 car positioning himself in pretty good spot to be able to take advantage, but you see the 42 really trying to be aggressive here and make his way back, because dropping 2 spots in a few laps, that can't feel good.
Okay, so we'll see Farlow up there in the front, but yeah, going back to this 42, I think he's comfortable in this bottom line. I don't really think he's around the top that often, and I think that's kind of what caught him out, right? Is you really have to know how to run the top here, especially in these O'Reilly machines, to make time here. And we've seen this 42 kind of be coming down here and just running this bottom all race, and forcing someone to go up there and run that top when they don't feel comfortable. That's how you're going to lose time, and that's how you're going to lose the track position. And you see now having an issue trying to get back up there inside that top 3.
Yeah, and quick question from someone in the chat here, David McGuire 4416 again. Curious about how many cars have not been involved in a wreck today. As we see a little bit of loose out of Stapp in the 45. I think a lot of these guys in the front, you see a little bit of contact there, a little bit of a bump and run out of the 42 of Wyatt Roberts. I think a lot of these guys have relatively clean cars, wouldn't you say, Christian?
Yeah, I think the first car, I would say the top 5 on back, haven't really had a lot of incidents tonight, but I think everybody else, 6 on back, we've seen Chastain have some moments. We saw the 23 get loose on his own. Everybody else on back, I think just because they're, unfortunately, it's just wrong place, wrong time, I feel like, for a lot of these drivers. But when we only have 10 cars on the lead lap, you see Christopher Logan, the first car, laps down. He is 1 lap down. And then back there, the Tim Goulet, 7. Ryan Rombaum back there, 9. And then Davis, Jacob, who just got caught up in that last wreck, still down there trying to fix some damage. But I feel like the top 5 is pretty safe, but everybody else on back, I think, from my recollection, have gotten caught up in something. But 42 still trying to get around this 45. The 45 is going to be forced to run this top side. Once again, that top side burning tires. The 42 a little upset out of turn 4.
Robertson's trying to go ahead and get by Staff, but Staff is doing a very good defense going on the top side, as Roberts is losing his pace right there. He's looking for giving a touch to their Staff, and Roberts is faster. I see that he's faster, and he wants to go ahead and get by Kukalon and Farlow, because the more he stays behind the staff, the laps are gonna go down, and Robinson's not gonna be able to get there. So yeah, here it comes.
I really commend this 42 for his patience right now. I mean, he's been there a couple times. You've seen the 45 kind of shut his nose off there, and you can actually see the 45 get put in a bad spot there as they get around Goulet. But the 45 up the track a little bit, but you see the 42. I think he's a little bit quicker right now. He's trying to be patient, trying to be respectful about making this pass work. He doesn't want to put the bumper to the 45. He's trying to get around him clean. You got to commend him for that, because there's a couple of times where I felt like he could have definitely, used that chrome horn to get around the 45 and gone on his way.
Yeah, definitely. And so good driving out of the 42 there. He'll leave a little bit more of a gap there, about a car length and a half on the 45 of staff. Kukulone still staying in touch with our leader, Joel Farlow, who's built just a few tenths of a second gap between first and second place here. Once again, Kukulone, one of those guys that's been able to put together a few runs the past few weekends here in the AWC Pro Series, but not able to pull off the win. Been runner-up several times. One at Legacy, Texas, and one at Daytona. And, I mean, yeah, definitely something to consider is when the 22 is going to reach victory lane, because, yeah, he has definitely shown speed throughout this entire season, but in a really good spot here to maybe take advantage of that.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see when he decides to, I wouldn't say pick it up, but, he's been so close and he can taste the win. I think he's got one coming sooner or later, but he's got to get around that 24, and he's got to do it quick if he wants to get around them. But once again, we've seen how good the 24 has been on this long run. Looks like everybody's spaced out for now. Hopefully we can keep it green here for the rest of the race. But it's 22. I mean, he's looking really quick. He does have a little bit of that front end damage. I don't know if that's going to affect the way this car's handling. Obviously, he's still been able to keep up with this 24, and you still see this kind of top four under a blanket. Brett Bennett's starting to fall behind there in that P5 spot.
Where Robert is going to the top, he's gonna try to do the crossover right here on the Thunder Staff. Kukalon a little bit loose right there. Staff is gonna look for a opportunity, going for the top. Maybe no, he's not gonna stay on the bottom.
Oh, the 45!
Oh, no.
Off the bumper of the 42, what a save! We'll keep it green there, but I think Wyatt Roberts finally had enough. Finally put the bumper to the back of him, and yeah, that's just how it's gonna be there. But if I'm not 42, you got to get away, because that 45 is coming back and he's going to be pretty hot.
Yeah, and I was just about to say, as the 45 caught Kukulone in the 22 car, he's in the same position that the 42 was trying to pass the 45. So the 45 not able to get by the 22, and so had to check up a little bit. And the 42 coming with a head of steam, right? He's just been running his pace, and that was just enough to overwhelm that 45 car, get him out of shape, but not enough to put him into the fence or anything. He was able to save that car, and we stay green.
Yeah, only back to the P5 position. Obviously, it could have been worse for the 45, but obviously, a lot of time lost not only for that 45, but the 42. If I'm these two leaders, I'm telling each other, hey, like, we got a little bit of a cushion now. Let's back off. If I'm this, especially if I'm this 22, I don't have any pressure behind me. Maybe back off a little bit. Save a little bit tired, make a run here maybe with 10, 15 to go. Oh, the 22!
Oh, no!
Off the bumper of the 39. We'll keep it green.
He's not going to be very happy with Goulet right there.
Yeah, Goulet just trying to run around, trying to just run the laps here. Not the first time, unfortunately, someone's made contact with that 39, and we said it once again. It's hard to stay out of the way here at Bristol, so it's hard to get out of the way, right? Especially on corner exit. That's the most vulnerable place you can be as a lap car, but unfortunately that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. You can't really know where they're going to catch you, right? You just kind of have to be predictable, and I'll give the hats off to Tim. He's been predictable and trying to stay it out of the way the whole race. Unfortunately, that time, wrong place, wrong time. I heard an engine expire. I think that was on pit road. But yeah, a lot of time lost for Enrique. Now, really, Joel Farlow, what can he do to keep this, to take this win and not give it away?
Yeah, that might be it for Kukulone. and company behind Joel Farlow here. Obviously, nothing's over till it's over as we surpass. We're coming up on 15 to go here, but yeah, definitely, a shocking mistake out of Kukulon. Gonna have to, rebound here, stay focused, because obviously anything's possible. But a lot of lap traffic here once again.
I'm about to say this lap traffic is going to hold up this 24. These guys are trying to stay on the lead lap, trying to give themselves an opportunity if we get a caution, but the 95 of Soto is going to hold up that 34. Damn, I mean, if you're a lap car, I feel like get out of the way, but if you're on the lead lap, I feel like it's fair game, but unfortunately that 95 really held up the 34. And now if I'm the 34, you got to let that 22 go. You cannot hold them up as much as you can here, as you actually see the 34 get around the 95, and Kukulon just trying to do the best he can to get back, within 7-8 seconds here. But I think we're gonna need a mistake out of that 40, out of that 24, to allow this 22 to get a run to reel him back in.
Joe Farley is passing by more and more lap cars. He's gonna have a little bit of a clean air right here, a clean traffic. So the next two lap cars it's gonna be Goulet and Runnable, pretty much putting Goulet on the wall. So 10 laps to go. Joe Farley will have this for sure. If we don't have a caution for sure. Kukulon is passing by more lap cars. Ooh, he's not getting into Goulet once again. Goulet is on the wall as we have some 3 wide on the back. Farlow passing more and more. It's pretty much on a walk on the park right here. He's secure. Kukulon's right there behind the number 34. More lap cars coming up. We're getting into 8 to go, going to 7. 7 of Runnable right on the top.
And the good thing for this 24 is he's got these lap cars that are kind of a blanket here for him to. I mean, the 22 has had some trouble getting around Tal here. The 34, he's got some pace here. I'm unsure what made him decide to pick up the pace here, but you can definitely tell the 22 using his stuff up as much as he can. I think that's at the end of the day starting to slow him down a little bit. You see him really sideways out of the corners here. He can't even get around Adam Tal, but gonna try to. I mean, if I'm the 34 or if I'm the 22, I'm begging, because here comes Brett Bennett. Like, please let me go. Like, we're racing for a podium spot here. I understand you're trying to stay the first car a lap down or whatever, but the next car is way back. Just let us go. Let us race it out here, because 22 cannot get around. It's allowed Brett Bennett to close in, and with 4 to go now, it's whether Farlow can hold on.
Tag the wall right there and let Kukulon pass by as Bennett behind. As Farlow with 3 to go. Unless we don't have a caution, it's gonna be his race right here.
Start the penultimate lap here from Bristol. 2 to go for the 24. As Farlow didn't seem to have the best car at the start, but showed off this long run pace that we've seen him before. What a race for this 24 as we get ready to come out of turn 4. White flag in the air for the number 24, Joel Farlow.
Farlow's going to navigate turns 1 and 2, go down the back straightaway, and it looks like he's going to come home a winner at the Last Great Coliseum.
And coming out of 3 and 4 for the final time. Go ahead and give it to him. Joel Farlow wins at Bristol. Photo finish for P2. I think the 22 got it.
That was awesome.
Wow.
Once again, Enrique Kukulon comes home the bridesmaid for the 3rd time this season. I mean, good finishes, and this is exactly what you want when it comes to points racing, but that 22 is hungry for a win.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, got to feel for him because of that contact with Goulet Jr. What could have been with, a longer run and maybe a closer finish than what we saw, obviously. But, I mean, you got to tip your hat to Joel Farlow, just really able to, dominate when he was out in the front there and, not making any mistakes with with the lap traffic, obviously. And, yeah, Joel Farlow, one of those guys that, has shown speed in the past, but not a lot of results to speak for it. But he'll definitely be speaking about this one for a while.
First win for Arctic Esports, and you see Tim, his team owner, up there celebrating. Tim is happy that he at least got it. Not the race he definitely wanted tonight in that number 39 machine, but you'll see Joel continue to celebrate here on the front stretch and continue to burn it down. Congratulations to Joel. I mean, what a race. I mean, just set up the car perfect for what it really for what the race needed it to be, right? We didn't really have a long green flag run. We had just enough for that 24 to come out and start to show his dominance, and then obviously really good restarts out of the 24 to keep the race lead. I think that's ultimately what got him the win tonight, was him being able to keep the race lead on these restarts.
Not only he was able to go ahead and be smart with the restarts, but also be smart with the lap traffic. He was not getting into the middle of the pretty much the fire of all that lap traffic, because a lot of those guys were in the wall. They were loose. They were holding some of these guys. So very good job by Joe Farlow. Pretty much having a very good smart race at all. So with all the incidents and everything,
Joel,
very well deserved.
Joel going into victory lane here. Unfortunately, the broadcast is not. We had to do a graphics reconfig here, so you'll see him going in the victory lane here. We'll have to fix that with the pit objects here as we come in and here in the future weeks. But we're gonna go ahead and take a quick commercial break and let our partners over here at iRacing talk to you guys, and we'll get ready to talk to your top three and start your post race show here from Bristol Motor Speedway.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome you back to the post race show here for the AWC Pro Series here from the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway. We just saw Joel Farlow take it down here and burn it down, park it in victory lane. Speaking of Joel Farlow, let's go ahead and talk to the driver of that number 24 machine. Go ahead and talk to Joel Farlow, your Bristol race winner for tonight's race. Hey Joel, it's Christian, Matthew, and Andreas up here in the HVTV booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, first of all, congratulations on your win tonight at Bristol. Seemed like you just had the best long car tonight, and definitely did a good job keeping the track position when you had it. But walk us through your race. Walk us through the difference to get you up here in the victory lane tonight.
Oh my goodness, this is a lot better than it went last year. Like this is complete redemption because last year I screwed up qualifying. I screwed up about everything, and about 5 laps in, I already get wrecked out, and it was awful. This was one of my most hated tracks, and I love this place in real life, but it was just bad for me. This year, I got a top 5 start position, which is what I wanted. And then I was able to save my tires. I was able to stay out of trouble. There was one time with I think it was the 95 and somebody else, they wrecked. Luckily, I didn't get damaged because I did get spun out by the 12 after he got hit by somebody. And I somehow did not get any damage. And after that, it was a little before halfway when that happened. So I put on tires and I just kind of like set sail, just rolled the bottom, got around some traffic. And then when I was able to get some clean air, I started moving around a little bit. I found a really good line that really felt good with my car I had tonight. That's how I was able to get up to the front. When I got up to the front, I just couldn't get around Brett for a while, and we got a caution. And unfortunately, things happened with Brett. Things that could have been prevented, I feel like. But after that, it was kind of just me versus the field. I felt like I had to do what I needed to do to fend them off. It was kind of me racing the track at that point. Because I felt like when I got the lead, if somebody was going to win, it was going to be my mistake letting him win.
It definitely seemed like when you had the track position, it really mattered to keep it, right? I mean, obviously, we saw some drivers who could pass like you, who drove through the field there on that long green flag run. But walk us through, obviously, we had quite a few cautions tonight. And with Bristol, I've raced here in the Xfinity in the O'Reilly machine before in the Cup car. With Bristol, the way the corners are, with how blind the corners are, what's kind of the mentality of when a caution's coming out? What is kind of the mindset or like the plan when you think that there might be someone parked up there in that blind exit?
It's kind of really how where my car is in the corner, because it's so fast and it's so tough that if you try to slam the brakes and you're in the high lane and try to move down, you're probably gonna spin out, and that's not gonna be good because if that probably means you're gonna block the track. It's kind of, I got a relative. I kind of look at my relative going in the corner a little bit. I kind of do two things at once. I try to see if anyone's like losing a bunch of time because that means they're spinning out, and then my iRacing spotter will tell me if there's a slow car ahead.
Yeah, it sounds like
I just kind of try to put myself in the best position if I can catch it before the corner.
yeah, it's always interesting to hear, everybody's driver's perspective of that. Because I mean, Bristol's probably one of the, I would say Bristol and Dover, I would say is probably one of the like easiest tracks to just pile into a wreck, because it's just hard to see what's around the corner here until you get there. And it's like, oh, it's and you're already in it. But yeah, talking about obviously not the I wouldn't say the season you wanted, but definitely you showed a lot of pace last year. Was especially going to the playoffs, it looked like potentially the driver to beat last season. Now coming into this season with the chase, no more playoffs, no more winning you're in. Obviously a win is nice, but what's the kind of the mindset coming into the close of the regular season?
Just trying to be consistent. That's what the chase format kind of helps people with. Not like the full season. It's not as good as full season points. I would love full season points, but like it's a lot better in the darn playoffs. I basically kind of got screwed over in the playoffs, but with the chase format, you want to get real. You want to have some momentum. So off of this win, if I can just keep racking up podiums and stuff, being real consistent, I feel like we'll have a really good shot again this year to win the championship.
I'm definitely rooting for you in this whole 2014. But before we let you go, is there anybody you want to thank tonight for this win from Bristol?
let's see. In my go-kart racing, I got a new sponsor. Thank you, Danny Reynolds and DR Reynolds Construction. And for my iRacing team, thank you, Tim Goulet, uh, Alex, and James for letting me drive this 24 Mustang.
Definitely strong team behind you with this whole Arctic Esports team, but we'll drag you back down to celebrate with your team owner and get ready for next week. But once again, Joel, congratulations on this one tonight. Hopefully we can talk to you some more up here in Victory Lane.
All right, thank you.
Joel Farlow wins Bristol. Is Wilkie ready to talk to your P2 driver? I think Matthew has the 22 of Enrique up here in the booth.
Enrique Cucalone, Matthew, Christian, and Andres up in the booth. You got a copy?
Sure, go ahead.
Well, man, I mean, second place again, but hey, I mean, we've got 3 top 5s on the season at Daytona, Homestead, and Legacy, Texas so far. So we've got another one added here at Bristol. And just take me through, obviously, the last sequence there in the race where you were running second to start, and then just your race overall, because you did have some good race pace.
Yeah, before I begin, I like to mention that Bristol, I hate Bristol. It is absolutely one of the tracks that I absolutely just despise racing at. So coming into tonight, I just told myself, like, we'll just try to see if we survive or something or get some points here and there. But man, what a race I put on. Like, I feel like that was probably the best race at Bristol I've ever had in overall in iRacing. But we had a fast number 22 Operation 304 Mustang. There on that final run, I felt like I was a little bit faster than Joel there for a few laps, but then I got into the 39, and I was just trying to play catch up, like from that moment, and I got some rear end damage from that. But overall, we avoided the incidents. We were pretty consistent through that long green flag run. I also felt like I was faster than everyone in the field. Like I was catching Brett and Joel there at the end when the caution came out, and then that final run to the end, as I just mentioned, just trying to catch Joel, but ultimately not enough. A second place finish, but I mean consistency is key, and with some of the front runners in the chase having issues tonight, that will give me some pretty good points here as we head into Charlotte. But I mean, second place finish at like my worst track on iRacing, I couldn't ask for anything better. I mean, definitely the win, but I am really happy with this second place finish.
Hey, I mean, that's a great mentality to have, obviously, and yeah, like I mentioned, another top 5, top 3 now, and obviously, I think the day will come when we'll be talking to you with that first place finish, and yeah, throughout the entire broadcast, we noticed that you were able to stay in touch with the leaders and just put yourself in good position. Talk to us about the pit cycle and how you were able to stay up front towards the later end of the stage, as well as keep your car clean for the most part throughout the majority of the caution.
There was a crash, I believe, like before halfway, when there was a car stopped on the racetrack, and I just saw him right ahead of me, and I thought I was gonna just arc brake into him, so I just turned right. I got some front end damage, which I believe helped me a little bit there, as the car was a little bit loose, so that front end damage certainly helped out. But pit strategy, I was thinking of going with the 40, excuse me, not the 47. He's in the 06 Brett now. He pitted under a caution to try to switch the strategy. I almost went with him, but now I just stayed out, and then I pitted under the next caution, so that gave me the tire advantage, and then was just pitting with the rest of the leaders over the next few pit stops that we got. But I mean, it ultimately played out, and also for Brett, man, what a battle we had there at the end. Just trying to hold him off. Like, he had the tire advantage there at the end, just almost wrecked 4 or 5 times trying to hold him off, and he almost got me there in the final corner, but just gassed it up, and we got second. So that was a great battle there with him.
Yeah, no, definitely. And in terms of the restarts, did you feel like your car fired off really well? And were the cold tires at all a factor here? Because I think that you were able to, stay in contention, and like I mentioned on those restarts. And so, where did you feel your car was tonight?
Oh yeah, I feel like our car was very good on the short run. There was a few restarts where I kind of went with Joel, but couldn't get past the guy, the car on the outside. The final restart was when I just timed it perfectly. I went a little bit earlier than Joel. The cars on the outside just didn't react, and that's what allowed me to get up to second. And from there on, it was just just green, run to the end, and hopefully catch Joel. But of course that didn't happen. But the car was really good on the short run. It was really good on the long run. So just overall, man, like it was a very fast Operation 304 Mustang.
Yeah, definitely. Setting our sights forward to Charlotte, it'll be really interesting to see how you do there, obviously, and hopefully we can be talking to you again because we love talking to you up here in the booth. But before we let you go, anyone that you'd like to shout out or anybody that you'd like to thank for your race here tonight?
I just want to shout out my teammates, of course, Brad, Bryson, Mikey, Wyatt, Zach, who isn't here tonight, Tyler, Matthew, just everyone at Circumference Ultimate Motorsports. We have an amazing team, and we sometimes have battles like one of those there at the end with Brad, but it's just fair, clean racing, and that's the fun of it. Just trying to get the best result for, of course, not only for the team but also for yourself. I want to shout out you guys for bringing the action here on HVTV. I want to shout out the person that makes me run this car. I run it with a lot of pride. As I said at Daytona, I believe early in the year, I really enjoy driving this car. It's really beautiful. Either it's this one or the white one that I've ran on the other 3 races this season. It's just definitely been an incredible experience bringing this Operation 300 for Mustang, some really good finishes. But yeah, I mean that's about it. So it's just setting our sights to Charlotte and hopefully finally be on the top set of the podium. But thank you guys.
Yeah, we'll be rooting for you. So you have a good rest of your night, and thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Good night.
Enrique Cucalan comes home P2, and not Matthew, Andreas, I think, has the 06, Brett Bennett, up here waiting in pit road.
Yeah, let's go ahead and break it in. Brett Bennett, Christian, Matthew, and Diego Andres up the booth. You got us?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, so third place. You had a good run on the last few laps, almost getting into the P2. Talk to us. What happened and how if you were able to do something different.
Well, I got absolutely screwed under the caution on like lap 80 or whatever because I was leading the race and people were slow getting by the pace car, slow getting packed up, and I couldn't pit the first time by because I had people had to pass me, or I just couldn't tell if I was lined up in a spot to not get a black flag. So I had to stay out, and that cost me all my track position, and that lost me the race. So that sucks. Like I don't know if I would have beaten Joel. Me and Joel were very similar on pace. I think it would have been a good battle between us, but still good job still was good to get back to third. That was a really fun battle with Enrique coming to the line. I almost got him at the end. That was fun, wrecking across the line with him. So that was fun. But it was a lot of fun today. Like this track's one of my best. I almost won here last season. Once again, almost won here today. So eventually we'll get a win, and we won't find a new way for iRacing to keep me out of victory lane. But it happens.
Also, being part of on the lead on before that last yellow. Can you talk to us about through that wreck, because it's pretty much right in front of you?
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. I just went high and hoped they weren't going to come up the track. So I don't, I can't give you a lot of info on that one. Yeah, it was just kind of chaos always. It's Bristol. When they wreck, it tends to block the track, and you basically just have to commit to a line and hope it stays clear. You're not going to be able to check up in time with how high the speeds are. So it's just kind of hope and pray when you get up on stuff like that. And thankfully, I was able to pretty much avoid all of it. The only damage I got all race was I got damage on a restart where the car in front of me I think it was Joel actually, didn't get a great launch, and I bumped into him and got a little bit of nose damage, but I was able to get that repaired, get out there. Had a few strategy calls that went my way, and then just generally a good race. So I'm not really running for points, so I'm really going for wins because I'm here through, I think, Charlotte or Kansas, and then I've got real life commitments for most of the rest of the season. So unfortunately, I'm just trying to see if I can get wins and get the best finishes I can for my team and just have fun out here, and then we'll see what happens because there's a chance I might be back for most of the playoffs, and still might be, if I can get enough points gap, might be able to make the playoffs. So we'll see how it plays out.
So with those racetracks that are coming up, Charlotte and Kansas, so you have any strategy coming up with those races?
Well, Kansas is a track I've always been solid at, and then Charlotte, another track I think I probably would have won last year if it wasn't for basically getting wrecked by Gabe Kuzola for no reason when I was passing for the lead. So that's another track where me and Joel were kind of discussing during the race. Every time me and him are both fast and at the front of the field, one of us gets screwed. So eventually, me and him will actually be able to have a fair battle to figure out who actually comes out on top in one of these. But yeah, Charlotte and Kansas are both two tracks that suit how I drive. So we've got a lot of opportunities coming up and try to capitalize on some of them and see what happens.
For sure. Do you have any shout out to give before we let you go?
Shout out to all my members of Circumference Ultimate Motorsports, all my buddies there. We had Wyatt, Enrique, Tyler Watermullen, Michael Kruger, Bryson Bird, Matthew Chastain, and Enrique all here tonight. Zach Probst's been here for most of this season too. So it's just been a lot of fun. I just enjoy it. Racing with them. Brad Smith, Braden Laster, Nate Moeller, Brad Smith, all the guys I spot for in ARCA. Looking forward to getting back to that in a few weeks once the season kind of gets back going. So yeah, we'll just see what happens. And yeah, with Joseph Strigley Stats for sponsoring me. They're always on my car, and then yeah, we'll keep going and keep grinding, try to get a win, and see what happens.
Yeah, for sure it will be. Well, thank you, and well, good job on getting that third position.
Yeah, thank you, and y'all have a great night.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Brett. Brett will come home P3 tonight, and yeah, I feel like outside of maybe the 42 and that 45, I feel like the top three guys kind of deserve to come up here. We saw, Enrique kind of make a late charge there at the end, but qualified up front. Felt like he deserved to, be up front. So in my opinion, Matthew and Diego, I feel like the top three who we talked to tonight kind of were kind of the at least 3 of the 5 who deserve to be up here in a podium position.
Yeah, talking about, deserving to be up here, those are the guys that, didn't show up there by chance, right? They showed either short run and or long run speed and were able to position themselves at Bristol, which is a track that is really hard to do so in the top 10 in particular. And yeah, for the most part, kept out of trouble, right? There was a little bit of contact there, obviously coming to the line between second and third, and then also between Cucolone and the lap car of Goulet Jr. But overall, just a really good showing of the different dynamics that can develop here at Bristol. We talked about it in the pre-show, right? Was the tire saving going to be as significant as we thought? And like you mentioned, Christian, it ended up being the deciding factor for the 24 car of Farlow being able to work his way up to the front. And as soon as he got up there, he didn't relinquish that track position for the most part. And so I'm really proud of the fact that these guys were able to not only race clean up front and be able to show respect for each other, but then also just be able to show us who deserves to win this race and who deserves to run up front, because these things don't come easy. And talking about this top 3, these are guys that have consistently been running for the most part up front. Obviously Enrique Cucolone still searching for that first win. Joe Farlow shown speed a lot throughout the past several races, and obviously the 06 car as well, being one of those cars still searching for a win, but also showing a lot of speed. And then we also had, we had the losers as well. We had Bryson Bird getting a big incident at the beginning there. We also had a few other isolated incidents that resulted in a lot of damage for several drivers very early on. But overall, just a great showing here at the Last Great Coliseum. So we were really impressed by these guys' performance.
Yeah, and now we're going into Charlotte. Pretty much a very different racetrack, 1.5 mile. And there's going to be much more room. It's not going to be a short track, but it's always going to be pretty much nothing is going to be safe. It doesn't matter which racetrack. There's going to be always some wrecks, some some mistakes. Today, the biggest loser was Bryce and Bird, Fidel Fabian, of course. The biggest winners were, of course, Joe Farlow, but also Ricky Kukalon, which is gonna be cutting up into more into the points with Bryce and Bird, even though with 2 wins. That's the chase format for you. That's why you need to be consistent, because now Bryce and Bird is very much uh, closer to a Ricky Kukalon. Ricky Kukalon with that second place, it's gonna be very much sniffing behind Bryson Bird, and maybe, just maybe, if he gets another good run next week with Bryson Bird having a bad run, it doesn't matter if you have 2 wins. You have to be consistent. And Ricky Kukalon, if he gets another good top 5 with Bryson Bird having another bad run, Ricky Kukalon will be the new leader, points leader, even though with 0 wins. But that's consistency. Be there, having good finishes, not having a bad day, especially on the start of the race. So yeah, very good situations for these guys.
I definitely agree with what both you guys said. Looking into Charlotte, it's gonna be definitely interesting. Obviously, we've seen Bryson Bird dominate here at these mile and a halfs, and looking forward to see what he can do again there. Obviously, Brett and Joel talked about them being very confident there. So I think it's going to be a kind of a three-headed monster coming into Charlotte and Kansas, as we see a lot of drivers who seem to have a lot of confidence coming into next week. But go ahead while we have the opportunity to look at our unofficial race results here from Bristol here in week 4 of the AWC Pro Series. Obviously, we talked to our top 4, Joel Farlow, Enrique Kukalon, and Brett Bennett. They're the podium spot finishers. Wyatt Roberts, really good race for him up there in the P4 position. And Darren Staff really needed a good finish to continue to march his way up inside the top 5 in points. Currently sitting, I would say, around the top, well inside the top 10, but going to be interesting to see what he can continue to do in his rookie campaign. Gilberto Gamera back there in P6, really good recovery for him. Matthew Chastain, P7. Adam Tal, P8. P9 will go to Carlos Acosta, and rounding out the top 10 tonight will be Javier Soto in that 95. A good rebound for him, even though those 7th, 8th, and 8th, 9th, and 10th were also a lap down.
Yeah, looking at your 11th through 20th finishers here, obviously, the biggest noticing factor here is the amount of people that were out of the race. We had Ryan Ronnebaum finishing 10 laps down, Tim Gilley Jr. obviously involved in an incident with Kukalon, 11 laps down. Christopher Logan, with his second start in the AWC Pro Series, was running in the top 10 for a while, but, involved in a few incidents and eventually out of the race. Jacob D. Davis, also another driver involved in a lot of incidents, 37 laps down. Tyler Watermelon, Bryson Bird, Fidel Fabian, James Costello, Michael Kruger, and Sam Boutwell all out of the race, rounding out your top 20. And John Trainer and Brendan Reed also out of the race. Just the way it goes at Bristol sometimes, right? And considering the number of cautions that we had, this is kind of to be expected. But as we move on to Charlotte, as both of you guys mentioned, hopefully the dynamic will shift towards a lot more clean racing, more cars on the lead lap, and a really good show for us viewers at home.
Oh yeah, and for sure there's gonna be much more space for these guys. Like Bristol is not very good for 3 wide. However, in Charlotte, you're gonna be able to be on 3 wide. However, if you push your car very, very much, Charlotte is just like any other racetrack. It's a very good with these O'Reilly cars. If you push that car, you're gonna get tight. So we're gonna see a lot of people, if they don't care about those tires, gonna be on the wall. And Charlotte, even though they have much more space, one little mistake can be go ahead and like make some big crashes. So let's see if these guys are gonna be able to get around this racetrack. And well, it's pretty much new racetrack, new challenges. So the season continues.
It's going to be
Yeah,
very
definitely. And one quick shout out to the last commenter in the live chat. Just want to make sure we get everybody involved here. Shout out to Jessica Adams 54, cheering on the 24 car. good to see more interactions there. And obviously, for any viewers still tuning in, yeah, feel free to leave your comments in the live chat. We'll try to get to those moving forward. But yeah, thanks for all the interactions here tonight. It was good to see what you guys were thinking throughout the race.
I definitely agree. It's always cool to see, everybody excited to come in here and watch the broadcast, interact with you guys, and everybody up here watching, whether you're, wherever platform you're watching on. But yeah, obviously, really excited to see what comes into Charlotte. But before we let you guys go, we got to kind of pay the bills here. We got to give a huge shout out to, your league sponsors for the AWC Pro Series. Obviously, Rubber Entertainment. You see this logo on the front of the number 7 Ryan Rombom machine. And got to give a huge shout out to everything they do to help out with the AWC Pro Series and continue to support this series as it continues to grow. Also, got to give a huge shout out to Icarus, another great company who's on board here helping out with the AWC Pro Series, and definitely couldn't do what they're doing here, whether it's helping out in the background and all that, without the help from these guys as well. But before we get to round out the stream, also we gotta have to do bills here. If you guys are looking to have any advertisements on the broadcast, obviously we do have a couple commercial breaks here and there. You guys are looking to have us show off your products, whether it's a physical item or a service. Make sure to email us over at hvtvbroadcasting@aol.com, and we can definitely get you guys hooked up in some way to show your services or products, whatever it is, on the HVTV Broadcasting Network. If you guys are looking to potentially join a team over here, whether you're wanting to be interested in coming down here in the HVTV booth, like me, myself, Matthew, or Diego up here in the booth, I definitely would really recommend giving it a try. It's a lot more fun than some people make it look, or if you're not a talkative person but really love the production side of things, also looking for some producers, which we do pay I feel like quite a little bit more than we do our commentators. But also, if you're an up and coming graphic designer, want to get some opportunities to do some stuff for a network and show off your work to maybe some future employers in the future. We're also looking for some graphic designers to help out with the ins and outs of other services and other leagues and all that. But at the end of the day, if you guys are just looking for some more content, maybe you're looking for us to broadcast us, also email us over at hvtvbroadcasting@aol.com. But from everybody over here in the HVTV booth, myself, Matthew Perchaski, and Diego Acuna, we appreciate everybody coming out and watching the broadcast tonight. Once again, congratulations to Joel Farlow for his win tonight at Bristol, and we look forward next week in the Charlotte as we get ready to continue the regular season here for the AWC Pro Series. But once again, we hope everybody has a great rest of their Friday night. Enjoy this this chaotic weekend here at Phoenix as we see the IndyCar doubleheader on Saturday with the Xfinity Series, and the IndyCar Series will be on Saturday, and obviously the NASCAR Cup Series on Sunday there at Phoenix. So enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we hope to see you guys next week here once again on Friday for some more AWC Pro Series racing.